turn on my mic again. Alright. Camera is no longer frozen. Mic is on. Light is fixed. Alright. So since we're starting at the beginning, we're of course going to listen to the opening again.
A princess lives in a monochrome world, broken from the side through her lonely eyes. It reflects the ocean and stars, but her cry echoes around the simple loss of love in her heart, making this whole fairy tale.
So this is who our next route is gonna be. I have been really looking forward to Fritz's route. There's a lot of fascinating stuff that's probably going to come up during this one.
Cinderella, why don't you stay with me tonight? We will dance until midnight comes and we could run away. Oh, we will never ever be apart. Set aside all your fears, this magic lives inside your heart. I am here, would you want to stay with me tonight? Follow me, we will run across the bridge of fantasy. All the pain.
Right. That said, we're not going to get to actually start a new route until chapter 2, so. And I'm going to do what I did last time because it worked really well for me, and next week I'm only going to do half of chapter 1 just because it's so long. But yeah, for this week I will be doing all of the prologue. So, good starting point to come back in on if anybody is looking to do that. Oh, hello! Hello, Ice Starmie. I am really looking forward to the roller coaster ride that I am anticipating this route, that you have noted that this route is gonna be. Oh, you know, so noted. I don't know if I am pretty prone to crying at things, but I don't know if, like, my sort of on face for streaming, or not face, but, like, you know, like, when I stream, I'm kind of in this on mode that I wonder if I could actually avoid, like, my hair trigger crying reflex, but, you know, I'll keep a box of tissues nearby just in case. But to be clear, if I don't cry, it'll only be because I am, like, putting on my streamer face, and basically, I actually have training in acting, technically. So because I am consciously and intentionally not doing so would be the only reason I would not cry, so. Alright, so let us start right from the beginning. I would not like to refresh myself on the basics. Alright, let's go. Once upon a time, in a kingdom far, far away, there were 2 crystals. One was the Crystallum Lucis, protected by the ruler of the fairies. The other was the Crystallum Tenebrarum, which was watched over by the high leader of the witches. The Lucis was sustained by love, happiness, and joy. The Tenebrarum by fear, anger, and hatred. The fairies and witches lived in harmony with the humans of the kingdom. They regulated the powers of the crystals in order to maintain balance between darkness and light. For there can be no joy without sadness, no courage without fear. The kingdom was at peace for a time. Then one day, a traveling bard decided to write stories, tales of the magic and wonders of the kingdom. He named these stories fairy tales. In fairy tales, the light always emerged victorious, and true love was a usual reward. The fairy tales spread further than could have been predicted. The humans of the kingdom began to believe that the fairy tales were true, and that the magic of the witches was inherently wicked and cruel. The witches became hated and feared. Eventually, they were hunted like animals. The witch hunt. The high leader of the witches, in all her anger, created the fairy tale curse. You think we are wicked? So be it. Just as you have taken our happily ever afters, we shall take yours. The witches used the fairy tale curse to attack humans indiscriminately, ultimately throwing the kingdom into chaos and darkness. The ruler of the fairies, the Lucis Bearer, sought to regain peace, but the witches were blinded by their hatred for humans, who were responsible for the witch genocide. A terrible war, the Great War, began. Eventually, the Tenebrarum Bearer, the high leader of the witches, was finally defeated. The Tenebrarum was lost. Peace was restored, and the light once again triumphed. But darkness can never fully disappear. It waits in the shadows, patient for when its time will inevitably return. Yeah, this part reads super different, so I wanted to get through the whole thing as, like, one... all in one go, uninterrupted, but, like, I definitely have some commentary where it's like, yeah, like, you know, even before I knew more about the Tenebrarum Bearer, I had some issues with that opening, like... really, the only problem is that the witches went, like, indiscriminate with revenge, and the whole, like, you know... the Tenebrarum Bearer, like, fell to the darkness and was, like, no longer in, like, full control of herself and her actions and stuff, is the implication. Because otherwise I'd be like, they're kind of heckin' justified, because that's messed up, yo. Like, genocide is never okay. And while maybe starting a war with the humans was not the only, or possibly even the best route that the witches could have taken to retaliate, like, I really don't blame them for doing so in the first place, because it's pretty messed up. The witch hunts are pretty horrifying. Oh, we will learn even more about her in Fritz and Waltz's route, especially Waltz's route. I look forward to it. Alright, Prologue. Ice Princess. My name is Lucette Riella Breton, daughter of King Gennaro Breton III. I am the crown princess of the kingdom of Angiel. At least, that was who I used to be. But that was before yesterday, when I became a victim of the infamous fairy tale curse. Everyone has forgotten my birthright. Now I am nothing more than a lowly peasant. I feel like I am stuck in a nightmare. But no, this is my reality now. I still have no idea what I must do to break the curse. I close my eyes and remember that day. It had started out like any other day. Maid A. Have you heard? Another person was cursed! Lucette. Silence. I am on my way to the dining hall for breakfast when I stop and listen to the sound of hushed voices. There are two maids standing next to each other with brooms in hand. Lucette, thinking to herself, these two are slacking off again. Maid B. That's terrible! What fairy tale curse was it? Maid A. They say it was Pinocchio. Maid B. Pinocchio? The fairy tale with the lying boy whose nose grows longer? That's awful! Maid A. You know, more and more people have been getting cursed lately. You think those wicked witches are up to something again? Maid B. I thought the fairy tale curses would stop after you-know-who was defeated. Lucette. You two were hired to work, not talk. Maid B. Shocked. Maid A. We're sorry, Your Highness. Lucette. As can only be expected from the likes of them. Silence. Thinking to herself, another fairy tale curse. The fairy tale curse started spreading even before the Great War began. I do not have much interest in its effects, even now. After all, most humans probably deserve to get cursed. The victims are weak. Angiel would be better off without the dead weight. Lucette, thinking to herself, if it were up to Mother, the cursed would have been banished from Angiel the instant they fell prey to it. I mean, to be fair, she's probably not wrong. Lucette, thinking to herself, but Mother is not here anymore. And she will not come back, ever. Maid. Princess? The king and queen are waiting in the dining hall. Lucette. I am on my way. The king, Ophelia, and Rod are all present in the dining hall. Someone is conspicuously missing, but I ignore their absence. King Gennaro. Good morning, Lucette. Lucette. Good morning, Your Majesty. Ophelia. Good morning, Lucette. Lucette. Silence. King Gennaro. Lucette. Lucette. Ophelia. Ophelia. Silence. Ophelia Widensov. Every day I wonder why my father, the king, married a lowly baker. She could never be a true queen, for she pales in comparison to mother. I take my seat next to the king, then look up at the person sitting opposite me. Rod Benedict Widensov, my stepbrother, is bored and quiet as usual. He is 2 years my junior, and is the younger of Ophelia's children. He is mute and uses a plush bunny to voice his thoughts. It was apparently given to him by a fairy. Rod. Silence. He minds his own business and is easy to deal with, but his older sister... My eyes go to the empty seat beside him. Lucette, thinking to herself. She is probably the most infuriating person I have ever had the displeasure of knowing. Emmeline. I'm so sorry I was late. I'm so sorry I'm late. I was reading and forgot the time. Lucette, thinking to herself. And here she is. Emmeline. Good morning, dear father, mother. Good morning, Rod. And good morning to you too, Lucette. It's a beautiful morning, isn't it? Lucette. Silence. Emmeline Widensov, Rod's elder sister and my stepsister. She acts as if we are blood, as if she too were born a princess, as if she could be crown princess, perhaps steal my place. I will never let that happen. King Gennaro. Now that everyone is here, let us begin. Butlers glide inside with silver trays to carefully serve us breakfast. Ophelia. So, Emmeline, you were reading the fairy tale books that the king brought you? Emmeline. Oh yes, there are so many and they're all so wonderful. Thank you so much, Father. King Gennaro. I'm happy that you like them. Emmeline. I love them. It's so strange that the library didn't have any of them to begin with. Lucette. That is because Mother hated them. She had all the books burned. Emmeline. Shocked. But why? They are such charming stories. Lucette. Fairy tales mislead humans into believing they can have things they do not deserve. Fame, riches, love, happily ever afters. King Gennaro. Silence. Lucette. And when their wishes do not come to fruition exactly as they want them to, the humans blame the witches for granting them in the first place. King Gennaro. What are you implying about the witches, Lucette? The atmosphere shifts, the air in the room growing heavy. I continue to eat. Out loud. Perhaps witches are not responsible for the evil in this world. Perhaps humans are the cause of their own downfall. To be fair, I don't think she's entirely off base here. Like, if the humans hadn't gone all, like... There is no excuse for genocide, like I said before. There's just none. And the Great War definitely never would have happened if humans hadn't started it. So, like, you know, they're all gonna, like, I get why everyone's tense and about it and such, because, like, they did just have this huge war, but, like, the lack of sympathy is, I understand where it's coming from, but I don't sympathize with their lack of sympathy, if that makes sense. Sorry, just turning a light on. Yeah, totally, Ice Starmie. The humans caused a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's kind of their fault. I totally agree. King Gennaro. Have you any idea what you're talking about, child? Oh, whoops. What did I just do? Turn. Witches have caused nothing but pain and suffering to this kingdom. Even now, they still spread the fairy tale curse to our innocent subjects. The truth is, I know very little about the time the witches had free reign over Angiel. I was very young then, and Mother forbade me to leave the palace, sometimes even my room. I know nothing of the people's supposed pain and suffering. Lucette, thinking to herself, Mother kept me away from everyone. And so, I cannot bring myself to care. Lucette, how do you know the cursed are innocent? King Gennaro, our people have been toiling day and night to rebuild Angiel after the Great War. Our people are the kingdom's foundation, and I am endlessly grateful for their determination and resolve. Every day, I wonder what your mother taught you about... Lucette, leave Mother out of this. King Gennaro, silence. Ophelia, dear, please. King Gennaro, more silence. Ophelia, Lucette, darling, your father didn't mean to... Lucette, I am not one of your children, Ophelia. I do not need your sympathy. Ophelia, shocked. King Gennaro, Lucette, you will show your mother respect. Lucette, she is not my mother. I set down my fork and knife and stand up. I am done. Excuse me. My father and I have never got on, but our relationship has significantly worsened since he married the baker. Lucette, thinking to herself, my father, the king. It has been 17 years and I have never felt any love from him. He treats Emmeline and Rod, who only entered our life 1 year ago, like his own children, better than he has ever treated me. This has been my life ever since Mother passed away 4 years ago. Yeah, like, Ice Starmie, now that we know what Gennaro knows, him talking so harshly about the witches seems even more harsh. He knows the truth about Lucette. I mean, I could kind of see an argument where he's, like, afraid that she'll turn out just like her mother, but, like, he also hasn't done much to prevent that. Like, as we've noted in other runs, like, he's just really, really fallen down on the job of, like, parenting her. Even, like, emotionally being available, like, even being emotionally available for her, like, as we're about to see here. This has been my life ever since Mother passed away 4 years ago. Lucette, thinking to herself, Mother was the only one that was there for me when no one else was. If it wasn't for the accident during the Great War, she would still be here. Man, why the sour face so early in the morning, Princess? Yay, Fritz. Let me guess. It's the king, the queen, or Princess Emmeline. Or is it all of them? I ignore his question. Lucette. Fritz, what are you doing here so early? Fritz. I'm running some errands for my father. Fitzgerald Aidan Leverton, son of the highest knight of the Order of Caldera. His father, Sir Alcaster, has served the royal family for many years. Sir Alcaster is one of the king's most trusted advisors. Man, though, like, both, it's funny, because having run through it and being, like, so very clear on the fact that both of the king's most trusted advisors are terrible people, like, just also kind of makes my confidence in Gennaro as a ruler kind of shaky. Like, dude, you are a terrible parent to your daughter. Both of your most trusted advisors are horrible people who are actively plotting against you. You're really falling down in, like, every possible area right at the beginning of this story, Gennaro. 3 years ago, Fritz was assigned the honor of becoming my personal knight. His presence is the only company I can tolerate nowadays. Lucette. You should wait in the throne room, then. Fritz. Thank you. Sorry, I had to read that kind of coldly, but I feel like Fritz would understand that I feel like Fritz knows her pretty well at this point. Fritz. Silence. Princess? Lucette. Yes? Fritz. You know, I haven't seen you smile once since I met you. Lucette. Why is that of any importance? Fritz. Silence. Still, I do hope to see you smile one day, Princess. Lucette. Silence. Fritz. Well, I won't take up more of your time. I'll see you at 10. Lucette. 10? Fritz. Don't tell me you've forgotten. Lucette. Forgotten what? Fritz. You're going to town today, remember? I deflate as the realization dawns upon me. It has been 2 days since the king issued the order. I just realized this is a flashback within a flashback. Oh yeah, I star me. The king is a terrible judge of character. That's one of the reasons you believe that Lucette will be an even better monarch and ruler than her father. I absolutely believe it. Like, it was nice in Karma's route to see him, like, kind of step up and actually be effective for a little while, but, like, yeah, no, I agree that, on the whole, Lucette will be a better ruler than he was. Or has been. King Gennaro. Lucette, I would like you to accompany Emmeline on one of her town outings. Lucette. Silence. Surely you could send maids with her instead. King Gennaro. I would not have requested you to accompany her if I was going to send her with maids. Lucette. Silence. King Gennaro. I want you to make an effort to get along with your sister. Lucette. Step-sister. King Gennaro. She is your sister, and you will treat her and Rod as if they were of your blood. Lucette. Silence. King Gennaro. 2 days from now you are going to accompany Emmeline outside. Lucette. Shocked. King Gennaro. It has been 4 years since you last left the palace. Ever since then you have locked yourself away. You barely leave your room. Angiel was in the grip of war back then, but now the kingdom is safe and back to its former glory. I want you to see how beautiful Angiel really is. Lucette, a princess must know her kingdom. Go with Emmeline and she will show you the town that you only ever see through your windows. And this is also another example of him being, it's kind of in a similar vein to him being a bad judge of character, but like, the fact that it didn't occur to him that the townsfolk would be extremely wary of her and that she might have a bad experience because of that, like, it just clearly just didn't even cross his mind that that might happen. Lucette. Is that an order? King Gennaro. If it needs to be. Lucette. Silence. King Gennaro. Are we clear? Lucette. Silence. King Gennaro. Lucette? Lucette. Understood. The last time I left the palace was 4 years ago, when the king took me with him to check on the people after the Great War had ended. I shake my head, removing myself from the memory. Lucette, thinking to herself, I am safe here. Fritz. Princess, are you alright? Lucette. Silence. Fritz. It won't be that bad. The townsfolk are good people. Lucette. How can you be so sure? Fritz. Silence. Times have changed. People change. Lucette. That is precisely the problem. Lucette, thinking to herself. Mother never changed. Mother loved me until the end. Whew. Yeah, well, your mother never changed in your memories, because she altered them. Fritz. Silence. Sometimes change is for the better, Princess. I think you'll see that today. Yeah, okay, to be fair, it also doesn't seem to occur to Fritz that she'll have a bad time because of people staring at her angrily. But, like, with Fritz, like, it's like, okay, that's idealistic optimism, and that's fine in, like, a knight that's less fine in The King. Fritz. If you'll excuse me, I shall see you later. Lucette. Delora, do you think witches are capable of bringing back the dead? Delora. Silence. Lucette. I wish you could talk to me, you and the others. I really appreciated in the last route that we actually got Delora's perspective, where she admitted, like, hey, you know, I did see that you had this capacity for goodness in you, and, like, you know, basically did the whole apology and, like, hey, no, really, being one of your doll confidants gave me some insight into your personality, and I knew you weren't a bad person. You know, Lucette needed to hear that from Delora. Actually, rephrase, she deserved to hear that from Delora. My dolls are my only friends. They are the only ones I can trust. Unlike humans, they will never betray me. They will never hurt me. They will always be there for me. Yeah, which is also a little awkward, as I've said before, because, like, the ones that are actually dolls will never betray or hurt you, sure. The moment I saw Delora, I knew she was special. She was different, so elegant and realistic, that it was almost as if she was breathing. She was a gift from the king on my 17th birthday. I only started receiving dolls from him when Mother passed away. Mother does not believe in birthday celebrations, but every year at midnight a letter would appear under my door. It would contain instructions leading me through the palace on an adventure to a room filled with gifts, cakes, and sweets. A child's dream. I'd been fascinated by the dolls, which had always held a little greeting card. A card with the words, "I love you," on it, signed by M. The card would tell me to keep those celebrations a special secret, but I didn't need to be told that. Mother always found a way to show me she still cared. In her own way. Yeah, I still wonder, I still doubt that it was actually her mother orchestrating those, and wonder who actually was orchestrating them. But, you know, I guess we'll probably find out. I'm assuming in Waltz's room. The secret celebrations had stopped as soon as she had disappeared. Lucette. Yes? Maid. Excuse me, Your Highness. The king has requested your presence. Lucette, thinking to herself. This better not be another lecture. Out loud. Tell him I am on my way. Lucette. I will see you later, Delora. Delora. Silence. Man. Oh. Good morning, Your Highness. Lucette. Sir Mithros. Sir Mithros, the royal advisor. Father trusts him a great deal, just like he does Sir Alcaster. Terrible judge of people. Mithros. Every day you look more and more like your mother. Lucette. Silence. I sometimes find Sir Mithros talking to Mother's portrait when he thinks no one is looking. He must have admired her a lot, but I cannot bring myself to think highly of him. There is something about him that puts me on edge. Mithros. Are you on your way to see the king? I shall not keep you then. Until our next meeting, dear princess. Oh, nice! Fritz Root has the best and most understanding Delora. I'll look forward to that, Ice Army. I will, in fact, I'm excited. I'm excited for the bonding scenes. Lucette. Your Majesty. King Gennaro. Lucette, are you ready? Lucette. Silence. King Gennaro. You will enjoy this, Lucette. I've heard the toy shop has lovely dolls. Lucette. Silence. King Gennaro. This will be good for you. You will get to know your sister better, and you will be able to interact with and learn about the people of Angiel, about our subjects. Lucette. I will not learn anything I do not already know. King Gennaro. Silence. Why do you always believe that the people around you are incapable of good? Lucette. Because I have seen how quickly people will betray and manipulate each other to get what they want. Mother warned me about human nature. King Gennaro. You do not see clearly, Lucette. If you would only open your eyes, you would be able to see how good people really are. Lucette. I believe I am already quite capable of seeing the true nature of people. After all, I have seen that there is no good in you. King Gennaro. Shocked. Lucette, Lucette. Where were you when I needed you 4 years ago? Where have you been ever since? Back then, I'd been overflowing with grief and pain. I'd just lost Mother, my entire world. I'd hoped that maybe then he would have shown me love and compassion. Even just a hug to let me know someone was there. King Gennaro. Silence. It had been a childish hope. I had been left alone. I did not see him for months, had barely even heard his voice. Lucette, thinking to herself, you cannot rely on anyone but yourself. You cannot trust anyone but yourself. This is what you have taught me, Your Majesty. Like, she's not she's not wrong. Like, again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Gennaro, messed up. He absolutely messed up as a parent. Like, he should have tried harder. Even if he wasn't sure he'd be welcome, he should have tried. King Gennaro, I know that I've hurt you. I know there is nothing I can do to atone for what I did. But please, Ophelia and her children are not a part of that. They do not deserve to be hated. Lucette. Silence, thinking to herself. In the end, they still matter more to him than I ever did. King Gennaro. Lucette. Lucette. Enough. I have already said I will go. King Gennaro. Silence. Everyone is waiting outside. I shudder at the thought of leaving the palace after so many years. King Gennaro. Lucette, it will be okay. Lucette. How can you be so sure? King Gennaro. Silence. Thank you for agreeing to accompany Emmeline. Lucette. I would not disobey an order from the king. King Gennaro. Silence. Lucette. Excuse me. Girl. Hello, how can I help? Emmeline. Viorica! Viorica. Emmeline! Princess Emmeline. How good to see you! I trail Emmeline, ignoring her as she embraces her friend. I glance around the small shop. The dolls displayed are nowhere near the quality of the ones in my room. Lucette, thinking to herself, I cannot understand why Emmeline insisted she buy gifts for her friends here. Silence. I cannot believe I am outside the palace. Fritz. There's no need to be so tense, Princess. I would never let anything happen to you. Your only job is to relax and enjoy yourself. Lucette. You ask the impossible of me. Fritz. Silence. Emmeline. There is no need to be formal, Viorica. I'm still the same as I was. Oh yes, Rod's come along as well. Rod. It's been a while, Viorica. Viorica. It's good to see you again too, Rod. Emmeline. And I must introduce you to Her Highness, the Crown Princess Lucette. Viorica. Shocked. The look on Viorica's face as she takes a step back from me is all too familiar. Fear. Viorica. My apologies for being so rude, Your Highness. Good morning. Lucette. Silence. Viorica. Emmeline. And this is Sir Fitzgerald, Sir Alcaster's son. Fritz. It's a pleasure to meet you, my lady. Viorica. Oh, you're Sir Fitzgerald? You really are as handsome as Emmeline described in her letters. Fritz. I'm sorry? Emmeline. Shocked. Please don't mind her, Sir Fitzgerald. Lucette. Silence. Viorica. I'm sorry, Emmeline. Fritz. Right. Emmeline. Viorica. So, what brings you all the way out here? Emmeline. Oh, I'm here to get some toys. Gifts for some new friends. Viorica. Toys? From here? Are you sure? Emmeline. Of course I am. I cross my arms. Lucette, out loud. I would prefer we finish this errand as quickly as possible. Vairika, shocked. Yes, of course. I'm sorry, Your Highness. Rod, silence. Fritz, Princess. Lucette, thinking to herself, I can barely breathe in here. I just want to go back to the palace. Beautiful lady. Good morning. Lucette, shocked. Fritz, shocked. Rod, silence. Up until this point, I had always considered Mother to be the fairest beauty in the land. The lady that walks in proves me wrong. Her beauty is mesmerizing and clearly without peer. Everyone in the shop is openly staring. Vairika. Oh, you're early today, ma'am. Beautiful lady. I have some important errands to run later today. Are the items ready now? Vairika. Oh, of course. Let me go and fetch them for you. I'll just be one moment, Emily. Beautiful lady. Silence. Lucette, thinking to herself, why is she smiling at me? Vairika. Here you are, ma'am. Beautiful lady. Thank you. Emily. Ah, that lady was beautiful. Vairika. Right? Any girl standing next to her becomes hopelessly ugly by comparison. I still hate that line, just as an aside. Like, that you don't need to actually compare people on physical appearance. It's not really a thing that is necessary to do. Emily. Who is she? Vairika. She's new around town. Some say that she's a fairy. Lucette, thinking to herself. A fairy? Fairies had saved Angiel from the witches 4 years ago. Everyone considered them our saviors. Lucette, thinking to herself. And yet the fairies are still unable to stop the fairy tale curse from spreading. Vairika. Here you go. Thank you so much. Emily. No, thank you, Vairika. I hope to drop by again soon. Vairika. Good, I'll look forward to seeing you again. I hope to see you again soon as well, Rod. Rod. Likewise. Lucette, thinking to herself. Leaving the palace was a bad idea. While I am out, I am the center of attention. Some townsfolk point and stare at me. Most, however, make a point of avoiding me. Like I am the plague. There are some spiteful stares, but thankfully none nearly as intense as they were 4 years ago. Lucette. Silence. Emily. I'm sure the townsfolk are only surprised to see you again after so many years. Lucette. Right. Fritz and Rod lag behind us, which leaves only Emmeline walking beside me. Lucette, thinking to herself. I cannot decide which is worse, the staring or her company. Emmeline. Oh, Lucette, look! A street performance! It's been so long since I last watched one. Lucette, thinking to herself. Street performance? Boy. Good day, everyone! My name is Waltz, and I'm here to spread some happiness and magic. The boy named Waltz snaps his fingers and colorful flower petals start to rain down from the sky. Emmeline. Isn't that pretty, Lucette? Lucette. Silence. Waltz. And are those the princesses over there? It is an honor to have you in attendance. Please accept this humble gift. He snaps his fingers and white lilies appear in his hand. Emmeline. Oh, thank you. Lucette. Silence. Waltz. Silence. The boy looks at me, as if expecting some kind of reaction. When he gets nothing from me, he sighs and gives me a wry smile. Waltz. I hope to see you again during my next show. Emmeline. We'll definitely try. He gracefully bows before moving back into his area to perform more magic tricks for a gathering crowd. Emmeline. There are performers like this all around Angiel. I love them. Maybe someday we'll get to see some musicians, too. Those are my favorite. Lucette. I do not intend to leave the palace again. Emily, shocked. But you don't like it out here? Rod and I grew up here. I love Angiel, and this is my favorite part of the kingdom. Lucette, silence. Emily. I wanted to share this with you, Lucette. I know you didn't really want to come, but you still tagged along. That means a lot to me, so thank you. Lucette. I did not do this for you. I am only here because the king ordered me to go with you. Emily. Silence. I just want us to be closer, Lucette. I would like to try and be your friend. Lucette. I do not want or need your friendship. Emily, shocked. Lucette. No matter how you act around me, we are not and will never be sisters. I'd take care to remember that if I were you. Emily. But I... Rod suddenly grabs my hand, pulling me away from Emily. Rod. Stop. He is staring daggers at me. I think this is the first time I've ever seen him angry. Emily. Rod, don't... Lucette. Let me go. Rod. Silence. Lucette. Both of you ought to stay away from me. I feel the heavy atmosphere as I turn to look at the people staring at us. Their expressions mirror the looks of disdain I saw years ago. Anger. Disgust. Hatred. I begin to walk away. Fritz. Princess, wait! Lucette. Don't follow me. Fritz. Princess! I adjust my cloak, making sure my face is hidden from view. Lucette, thinking to herself. I never should have left the palace. As I walk around, I watch the people bumbling down the streets. Lucette, thinking to herself. So carefree. They work so hard for so little reward. They could work their entire lives and never have a fraction of what I have. And yet, they are happy. And I... Woman A. I heard Annis lost her job at the palace. Woman B. It's true. Crown Princess Lucette made sure the poor girl was fired. I stop in my tracks at the mention of my name. Woman A. Not again. Lucette, thinking to herself. Annis? Was that the name of that one maid that tore Dolores' dress? If so, my decision to fire her was justified. A palace maid cannot be clumsy. Why should I tolerate poor performance? Lucette, thinking to herself. What did I do that was so wrong? You know, we've discussed it before, but, like, she's not wrong. Like, that is a level of attention to detail that, like, I feel like Annis is better employed at the March End in a lot of ways. Like, she's better suited to what she does at the March End than she was to be a maid. And, like, ripping a dress is kind of a big deal. Like, yes, some people would say, oh, it's just a doll's dress, but, like, yeah, basically, I am a little bit, even though I like Annis a lot, I am a little bit in defense of Lucette on that one. But maybe Annis should have been hired as, like, an assistant to the castle physician. I'm sure they have one. Woman B. I know that Annis. Hardworking and big-hearted. Very good with medicine. Woman B. Shame she lost her job so quickly. Woman A. You know how hard the crown princess is to please. My friend at the palace says she doesn't even smile, only goes around with that cold look on her face. That's probably why they call her the Ice Princess. Lucette, shocked, thinking to herself. Ice Princess? So all those times I heard the servants saying that. I'd always suspected they were talking about me. Woman A. She's the complete opposite of our Princess Emmeline. That child's an angel. We all know she should be crown princess. Annoyance begins to simmer inside me. I cannot stand hearing any more, so I walk away. Ever since Emmeline entered my life, I am always being compared to her. And now I have become second best. Lucette, thinking to herself. I am Lucette Riella Breton, daughter of King Gennaro Breton III, and the crown princess of the kingdom of Angiel. I am of royal blood. She is nothing. Fritz. There you are. Lucette. Silence. Fritz. Princess, you must come back with me. It is getting too late for you to remain outside. Lucette. Silence. Fritz. Princess? Are you alright? Are you hurt? I brush him off and turn away. Lucette. No need to fuss. Let us return to the palace. Fritz. Silence. Leaving the palace was physically and mentally draining. My bed is welcoming to my unusually heavy body. I turn my head and meet Delora's glassy gaze from where she sits on my shelf. Lucette. I left the palace today, Delora. It was the same as all those years ago. Everyone looked at me like I was... What have I ever done to deserve those looks? How can I be so hated? You know, there's a little part of me that wonders if part of Delora's logic with the curse she chose was a combination, force the princess to actually get out of the castle because she showed herself to be very reluctant to do that on her own. And also, like, although it doesn't end up helping at the March End because everyone recognizes her because the cursed still recognize her, it really helped. Like, when she then later goes out in town, it really helps to not have everyone in the town staring, glaring daggers at her. And I wonder if that was also a factor in Delora's decision. Like, basically, I'm, like, wondering if, like, Delora's choices were harsh, but I'm wondering if she came at it with, like, good intentions. If she's like, well, everyone forgetting her also means that she'll have an easier time interacting with with the common folk normally, and everyone forgetting her means that she has to leave the palace, which gets her out of her room, and etc. so forth. Like, it's still pretty harsh, but I could sort of see an argument for Delora having a good reasoning for it, or thinking she has a good reasoning for it. Anyway, Lucette thinking to herself. Ice Princess. Lucette. Silence. I wish Mother was here. I look at the smiling faces of my dolls. At least I still have all of you. I yawn and stretch my arms. Good night, Delora. Voice. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Lucette, thinking to herself. Singing? But who? Voice. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. I blink my eyes open, only to see Delora sitting right in front of me on my bed. Moonlight spills across her delicate features. Delora. How I wonder what you are. Wasn't she on the shelf with all of the other dolls when I went to bed? Lucette. Laura? Delora. It's almost time. Lucette. Shocked. I pinch my cheeks to make sure I am not dreaming. It hurts. Delora. Only 10 minutes before the clock strikes 12. I hope you're ready, Princess. Lucette. What? My doll just turned into a human. How? Lucette. Who are you? Delora. You know who I am. I've been watching you since the day your father gave me to you. Lucette. What is happening? I don't think I have ever been so confused in my life. Delora. All the answers will come with time, but right now I am here to give you something, Princess. Lucette. Is this... Delora. Cinderella's very own glass slipper. It is beautiful. Too beautiful. Then, a realization begins to dawn upon me. Lucette. You're a witch! Delora. Smart girl. I knew you'd figure that out eventually. Now it's time to say goodbye to your precious crown. Lucette. What? Delora. Sweet dreams, Cinderella. Woman. Hey! Wake up, girl! Lucette. Huh? Where am I? Ow, my head. Woman. You have some nerve sleeping in front of my shop. Leave before a customer sees you. Lucette, shocked, thinking to herself, I was in my room. How am I here? Woman. Did you not hear what I said, you filthy child? Lucette. Filthy? You would speak to your crown princess in such a manner? Woman. If you're the crown princess, then I'm the queen. You must have been knocked on the head quite hard to have such grand delusions. Lucette. I am not delusional. I am Lucette Riella Breton, blood daughter of King Gennaro Breton III and the crown princess of Angiel. Woman. Right. The king never had a daughter with that witch. Lucette, thinking to herself. Is she referring to mother? Out loud. Witch? Woman. Don't pretend to be stupid, girl. I can only stare at her, puzzled. Woman. Our good king only has stepchildren, Princess Emmeline and Prince Rod. And you are most definitely neither of them. Lucette. What? Woman. Now get gone before you go spouting your crazy gibberish at my customers and scare them away. With a huff, she leaves me to my own rapidly turning thoughts. I quickly realize that I am wearing tattered clothes, and that I do not even have shoes on. Lucette, shocked. No, this cannot be happening! Something shines against my chest, and I reach up to grab it. It all floods back. Delora being a witch. Cinderella's glass slipper. This is not a dream. Lucette. Delora gave me the fairy tale curse! My hands begin to tremble. Lucette. I must return to the palace and speak with the king. Lucette. Let me in! Knight A. Sorry, girl, but this place is off limits to uninvited guests. Lucette. You do not understand. I am Crown Princess Lucette Riella Breton. I must speak with my father. As loath as I am to call him that, I have to. No one will believe me if I am addressing him by title. Knight B. You best leave now, nice and quiet, before we have to force you. Lucette. If you would only... Knight C. Make way for the king! The gates swing open and 3 horses trot out. Soldiers ride 2 of the horses, while the last horse has a different, familiar rider. Lucette. Father! I immediately move to block the path of his horse. The soldiers move to hold me back. Knight B. Your Majesty! King Gennaro. What is this? Knight A. Your Majesty, this girl is claiming to be your daughter. King Gennaro. Daughter? Both of my stepchildren are in the palace right now. Lucette, thinking to herself. What? Even father is a part of this? Out loud. Father, you must help me. King Gennaro. Silence. Lucette. A witch has cursed me. Thinking to herself. For once in your life, just once, help me. Out loud. You must believe me. King Gennaro. Silence. Tell me, where is your family, child? Why are you all alone? He looks at me with pity in his eyes. He is looking at me more kindly as a peasant than he ever did when I was the crown princess and his daughter. I recoil. King Gennaro. Silence. You must be hungry. Take this. This should feed you and your family for a day or two. The kingdom offers work opportunities to those who need them. Please let your parents know. Lucette. I'm gonna comment again, like, Gennaro just being super out of touch in this scene, right? Like, you know, you don't have to be poor, there's work opportunities for your parents. Bold of you to assume, like, let's say you're correct in that Lucette is just some random beggar girl who is either trying to make a claim to get money out of you, or is actually crazy. Like, bold of you to assume she has parents? I don't know. Lucette. I do not want your pity, father. I do not want your pity. Father! King Gennaro. Please escort this girl back to her home. Make sure she gets there safely. Knights. At once, your majesty. And once again, King Gennaro being out of touch, bold of you to assume she has a home. Like, obviously we know, like, Lucette's situation is very unique, but right now she essentially doesn't have parents or a home, so, like... And I'm sure there exist people in his kingdom who are in that kind of situation, so it's pretty short-sighted of him to just make the assumptions he made. And by short-sighted, I mean out of touch, as is very common in a situation with class stratification on the level of nobility and commoners. I watch as my father and his two guards ride away on their horses, leaving me to stand in their dust. Lucette thinking to herself, he left me alone. Again. Knight A. Where is your home, girl? Lucette thinking to herself, there is nowhere left for me to go. Father has forgotten me. Out loud. Leave me. Knight B. Now look here, our orders were to... Lucette. Leave me. Alone. Knight A. Silence. Suit yourself. Can't say we didn't try. Knight B. Don't cause any more scenes, little girl. I watch with bleary eyes as the soldiers return to the palace. Lucette thinking to herself, how can this be happening? I stare at the small pouch in my hands. Lucette. Silence. I do not know what hurts more. The fact that I have just been unceremoniously paraded away from my home like I am nothing more than a piece of garbage, or the fact that my own father does not recognize me. Noblewoman A. Oh, look at that girl's hideous dress! Noblewoman B. How difficult it is to be poor. I clutch the pouch closer to my chest as I run to an empty alleyway. I huddle in a corner, trying to become as small as possible. I squeeze my eyes shut, hoping that when next I open them, everything will be back to normal. Lucette. Out loud. A dream? Mother. And, okay, so this is a flashback of Lucette with her mother, and a short content warning I usually put before these. Her mother was very emotionally abusive and gaslighty. And that often comes up in these memories. Mother. No matter what happens, you must not leave the palace. Young Lucette. Why? Mother. The world is cruel. People will only ever hurt you. Young Lucette. But they are always so nice to me. Mother. That is only because you are the crown princess. They will only ever think of what they can take from you. Young Lucette. Silence. Mother. I am trying to protect you, my love. That is why you must never leave the palace. Never leave Mother. I am the only one who will ever love you so much. Said it before, we'll say it again. Anyone saying that is a massive red flag of emotional abuse. It is never ever true that there is only one person who will ever love you. Or even ever love you this much. That much. That is a classic thing that abusers say to isolate the people they are abusing, and that is what is happening here. Mother. Do you understand? Young Lucette. I understand. Also, it's strange that he didn't even investigate the situation since he knows about magic and curses. and he feels like someone is missing, as we saw, because of how he told the maids to keep her room clean. Yeah! No, you're right. I mean, the only thing that could possibly justify that is if there is some kind of clause in the curse that prevents people from not only erases memories, but prevents people from poking at it. Like, maybe that's the only thing I can come up with that would remotely justify him not immediately looking further into this. Because I totally agree, Ice Starmie. Like, there is, like, otherwise there's no excuse. Like, that's a totally known thing that can happen. But, you know, if the curse is enough to make everyone forget who she is, then it's probably, like, I could believe that it's powerful enough to, kind of put a veil so that people shy away from poking at it, even if they're directly confronted with it. Just a thought. But anyway, so that is the end of the prologue, so I shall save here and pick back up next time. Yeah, let's start a new section. Actually, let's not start a whole new section. I'll do it here. Alright, so yeah, that was the prologue again, and then next week I'm going to do chapter 1 again, and, but like I said, I'm going to do about halfway, so I'm going to try to I think I'll go check where I cut off last time, but I think it was right before Rumple's introduction, which feels like a pretty good place, so that's probably about where I'll cut it. But yeah, so next week I will do the first half of chapter 1, and then the next week I will do the second half of chapter 1, and maybe also chapter 2? I think that's how I ended up doing it last time. So yeah, and if assuming that works out the way I think it will, then we will get to actually do route selection 2 weeks from now. So, well, one way or another, but yeah, so yeah, I'm happy to be, like, you know, I know I missed a bunch of weeks while I was playing through Rumple's route, but, like, in some ways I'm kind of glad, like, I'm kind of appreciative, I'd say, because having gone longer without, like, you know, having had a longer time since I last played through the prologue, it's just, it's more enjoyable to get the refresher when it's been longer since I last saw it. So yeah, so I am having fun with this, and I am so jazzed for Fritz's route. Like, you know, there's this week, and then there's next week's just gonna be chapter 1, but then the week after that is when we really start getting going with route stuff, and I am very excited, so. Anyway, so yeah, so I will be back at it. I should be back at it next week, as far as I recall. There shouldn't be anything that would prevent me from doing so, so I will try and give, like, I will, as I did, like, if anything comes up where I'm not going to be able to do a Monday stream, I'll try to give some notification. At the very least, I'll post it on my Twitter, which is, like, linked to my Twitch about page. But yeah, no, I'm hoping I will be able to just stick to the normal schedule and get through and have a great time playing through this route. So thank you, Ice Starmie, as always. Thank you, anyone else who was watching or lurking or who is watching this later. I appreciate you all very much, and we'll pick this back up again this time next week. Alright, bye!